Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here and it's time for a haul. I've picked up some books recently, I've been sent some books recently, I've got some books in book boxes recently, so let's talk about those. The first one is a book I got in a book box and it's called Pet by Akwaeke Emezi. Oh, I'm sorry, I think that's how you pronounce it. I've seen this book numerous times in bookshops but never picked it up. It's quite a thin book and maybe that's put me off, but having read the blurb of this now, I'm actually quite looking forward to reading it. I'm intrigued by this. It's about this creature called Pet, which is coming into this young girl called Redemption's house to get rid of the monsters. So I'm not sure if this is going to be fantasy or if it's going to be contemporary with a fantastical element, but it definitely intrigues me. The next one is one that I've been waiting for in the post for ages and I'm really excited to give it a go. I found it when I was sort of researching books on other things. It's called The Pink Dress by Anne Alexander. I'll read you the back because I just think it sounds brilliant. It says, a hurt leg kept Susan Stevens sidelined at the Halloween dance and the flu ruled her out of the Christmas ball, but nothing can keep her away from the peppermint prom. Only in 9th grade, Sue is ready to take her Taft Junior High debut and she'll be wearing a perfect pink dress. The prom is as elegant as a fairy tale and it doesn't take long for Sue to meet her prince. Dave Young is dashing, graceful, with an attitude that Sue cannot resist. He offers his hand and sweeps her into a dance that will change her life forever. Soon she and Dave are an item and Sue is a certified member of the crowd. But popularity brings new pressures and Sue will find that beneath their peppermint smiles, her new friends may have a darker side. So I think this just sounds really intriguing and yeah, I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. I saw these books on someone's channel recently and just thought, yes please, I definitely am intrigued to read them. And they are The History of Britain in 21 Women. In fact, I know it's Olive's channel. I definitely think Olive read this one. No, Olive talked about this one, which is The History of the World in 21 Women by Jenny Murray. And I've also picked up The History of Britain in 21 Women by Jenny Murray, and I'm really looking forward to reading these. She said that they are readable and interesting and maybe women that perhaps haven't been talked about before. And I love this idea of getting history through characters and discovering history through particular women. It sounds right up my street, so I'm looking forward to diving into these. I'm really excited about this one. It is Starsight, which is a sequel to Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I really loved Skyward. I thought it was a really good book. This is the type of book that I like by Brandon Sanderson. I'm much more in his vein of Steelheart and that series. I didn't get on so well with his Mistborn series. It wasn't for me. I much prefer his sort of science fiction books. So this one, I'm so excited to see where we go because of where the last book ended. It's really left it open for some interesting plot lines, and yes, this is happening really soon. I've talked about this, I think, in a previous video, but maybe not. So in case not, I'm going to talk about it again now. Anyway, this is A Good Hawk by Joseph Elliott. I went to the Walker Books Christmas party recently and I was lucky enough to see Joseph talk about this book. Joseph is a character, an actor and character on a CBeebies show in the UK called Swashbucklers, which is a pirate show which my daughter loved, and he is now also an author. And during his time acting, he's also worked in special schools and he's utilised his knowledge and experience of that to write a really interesting sounding character. The main character in this is a girl with Down syndrome, and that is something that you very rarely see in books. And I've never certainly seen it done in this way. I think it's set in the olden days, and so perhaps that word Down syndrome isn't one that is around. There is no diagnosis for people that may be slightly different or have you know, differences, and so it will be interesting to see how this is handled and tackled, and that this girl ends up being our main character who is heroic and goes on an adventure to rescue her people, which I think is just so important to have these characters in important roles that aren't showcasing them as unable to do things, but are showing how capable they are of amazing things, because I think that is so inspirational for everybody. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. The next book I heard about on Bookable's channel, I think that's where I heard about it. It's Bittersweet by Sarah Ockler, and she said that this is a book with food in its centre, and it just really appealed to me. It says there's a fine line between bitter and sweet. Once upon a time, Hudson knew exactly what her future looked like. Then a betrayal changed her life and knocked her dreams to the ground. Now she's a girl who doesn't believe in second chances, a girl who stays under the radar by baking cupcakes at her mum's diner and obsessing over what might have been. So when things start looking up and she has another shot at her dreams, Hudson is equal parts hopeful and terrified. Of course, this is also the moment a cute, sweet guy walks into her life and starts serving up some seriously mixed signals. She's got a lot on her plate, and for a girl who's been burned before, risking it all is easier said than done. It's time for Hudson to ask herself what she really wants and how much she's willing to sacrifice to get it, because in a place where opportunities are fleeting, she knows this chance may very well be her last. I've never read Sarah Ockler, but I'm looking forward to giving it a go. And you can't see it really here, but this cover is really pretty. It's got this sort of sheen to it. And I'm wondering, I think it's meant to be icing sugar, so I don't know if this one's set at Christmas, but maybe it's one that I'm going to read soon anyway. And then the last two books that I've got here are books that was very kindly gifted to me by the lovely Janet from Swirly Girly Reads. The first is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I have an interesting relationship with this author. I didn't like Shadow and Bone and that series, and so I'm a bit nervous going into this that it's not going to be for me, but I really like the premise of this with these sort of this Ivy League setting with secret societies. So I'm going to buddy read this, I think, with Janet next year, and I think that will be good. It will be a nice book to read alongside somebody else. And then the other book that she kindly gifted me is one of a trilogy, first book in a trilogy, of which I heard about on someone's channel recently, but I can't think who, and I just thought it sounded as dark as I'll probably want to go. It's called The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchinson, and I'm not sure if it's independently published. It certainly feels and looks like it might be. But it says, near an isolated mansion lives a beautiful garden. In this garden grows luscious flowers, shady trees, and a collection of precious butterflies, young women who have been kidnapped and intricately tattooed to resemble their namesakes. Overseeing it all is the gardener, a brutal, twisted man obsessed with capturing and preserving his lovely specimens. When the garden is discovered, a survivor is brought in for questioning. FBI agents Victor Hanoverian and Brandon Edison are tasked with piecing together one of the most stomach-churning cases of their careers, but the girl, known only as Maya, proves to be a puzzle herself. As her story twists and turns, slowly shedding light on life in the butterfly garden, Maya reveals old grudges, new saviours, and horrific tales of a man who'd go to any length to hold beauty captive. But the more she shares, the more the agents have to wonder what she's still hiding. I've heard this is chilling and really good, and I really want to read this, so it's definitely one that's on my radar for soon. So that is some of the books that I've got recently. Maybe I'll get some books for Christmas, I don't know, but I'll certainly be doing my slowdown in the new year and planning on doing just sort of one haul a month, because by the end of next year I have some goals for my TBR, and that's not to clear it, because, you know, that's not going to happen, but I'll be talking about them in a future video. So anyway, that's it from me. Have you read any of these? Are any of these 5-star reads that you've read? Let me know in the comments down below as always, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.